How much does the average 45-year-old American actually have invested for retirement? If you believe the headlines, $313,000. That's the number you see everywhere. But here's the problem. That number describes almost nobody watching this video. The real number, the median, which actually shows how a typical person is doing, is just $115,000. And if you're 45, feeling behind and wondering what happened, you're not behind the average. You're behind the plan. And nobody has actually shown you what the plan requires. Today, I'm going to fix that. I'm also going to show you the one piece of math that changes everything for people in their 40s, because it has almost nothing to do with how much you've saved so far and everything to do with how many more years you'll actually be allowed to save. Let's get into it.
Here's the honest truth. The average retirement number at 45 is nearly useless for planning. Why? Because averages get pulled up by a small number of people with huge balances. Think CEO-level 401ks, dual-income households maxing out for 20 years, inherited IRAs. The median, $115,000 for ages 45 to 54, is much closer to reality. But even that number is misleading. Why? Because according to the Federal Reserve, 62% of households in this age bracket have any retirement savings at all. That means 38% have zero. So when you hear median equals $115,000, that's only counting people who have something. Include the zeros, and the real number drops dramatically. Here's a metaphor I want you to hold on to for this whole video. The average is a group photo. It includes celebrities. The median is your mirror. It shows you where you actually stand. And then there's the door, the benchmark you're actually trying to reach. Let's talk about the door.
Fidelity, one of the largest retirement providers in the U.S., has clear guidelines. By age 30, 1x your salary. By age 40, 3x. By age 50, 6x. By age 60, 8x. By age 67, 10x. At 45, you're roughly halfway between 40 and 50, so you should be at 4 to 4.5 times your salary. Let's do real math. Median individual income for ages 45 to 54 is about $71,600 per year. 4 times that equals $286,000. Call the target $300,000. But the actual median person at 45 has just $115,000. That's a gap of $185,000 in missing compounding growth. And here's the part that hurts. $10,000 invested at age 30 with a 7% return becomes $716,000 by age 65. The same $10,000 invested at age 45 grows to only $38,000 by age 65. That means at 45, every dollar you invest is worth about 36 cents compared to a dollar invested at 30. That's not an argument to panic. It's an argument to be precise. Because from here, your behavior has to carry more weight than time. Here's the assumption everyone makes at 45. I have 20 more years to save. That assumption is doing all the heavy lifting in your plan. But the data says something very different. According to retirement timing research, health problems, layoffs, and caregiving responsibilities account for roughly 59% of retirements. Fewer than half of Americans retire on their own schedule. Here's a real example. Let's call him David. Age 54, operations director, 19 years with the same company. Company restructures. His position is eliminated. Job search takes 2 years. He ends up earning 30% less. He claims Social Security at 62 because he has to. His retirement income ends up 18% lower than planned. He didn't make bad investments. He made a plan that relied on something he couldn't control. And this isn't rare. 28% of stable, long-term employees get laid off at least once between ages 50 and retirement. So the real risk at 45 isn't the stock market. It's the labor market. And I don't see many retirement calculators asking, what if you get laid off at 53 and it takes 18 months to find a comparable job? So what do you actually do at 45? Here's my 3-level framework. Level 1, the triage number.
Do you have at least 4 times your individual salary saved across all accounts? If salary equals 71K, target equals 284K. If you're below that, don't panic. Just quantify the gap. That's your starting line. Level 2, the structural audit. 4 questions. Do you have 1 year of living expenses in liquid, accessible savings? Do you have high-interest debt, credit cards, personal loans, choking your contribution capacity? Are you capturing your full employer match? That's an instant 100% return. Are you paying advisory fees above 0.5%? Eliminating a 1% fee can save you over $1 million across 3 decades. Level 3, the velocity question. What's your current annual contribution rate? The average total savings rate at 14.3% in 2025. That's the highest on record. But you don't want to be average. The consistent 15-year savers at Fidelity averaged $617,600. They didn't have secret investments. They just stayed in, didn't raid the account, and increased contributions with every raise. If you raise your contribution from 6% to 12% on a $75,000 salary, that's about $375 more per month. Over 20 years at 7% returns, that's an extra $240,000 at retirement. Not sexy, but it works. If you're watching this and you're between 45 and 55, you're likely Gen X. And by nearly every measure, Gen X is the least financially prepared generation for retirement. Why? You entered the workforce as pensions were disappearing. You lived through the dot-com crash in your late 20s, the 2008 financial crisis in your late 30s, and now you're stuck in the middle, supporting aging parents and adult children. 1 in 4 Americans is now in the sandwich generation. 70% say caregiving has significantly affected their retirement plans. 59% have reduced or stopped contributing to retirement savings. That last one is brutal. A 3-year contribution pause in your mid-40s creates what I call the $200,000 ghost. The invisible money that never grows because you stopped contributing at exactly the wrong time. So if that's you, this isn't a lecture. It's just reality. And reality says you need a system that works despite interruptions. Here's what the data actually proves. The people who outperformed over the last 30 years were not the traders, not the market timers, not the crypto crowd. They were people who picked a low-cost index fund, automated their contributions every paycheck, ignored the news, and did something else with their lives. Only 3% of actively managed funds beat the equivalent index over 15 years. The other 97% cost you more and deliver less. So if your 401k default fund has a 0.9% expense ratio and you haven't checked it in 2 years, you are paying for performance the data says you are almost certainly not getting. Switching from 1% to 0.1% in fees is the single highest yield, lowest risk move most 45-year-olds can make today. And it takes about 40 minutes. That's not a joke. That's the most productive 40 minutes of your financial life. So here's your 3-step takeaway from today. 1. Run your mirror number, not the average. 4x your salary by 45. Quantify the gap. 2. Stress test your 20-year runway assumption. Build a 1-year liquid buffer. The buffer isn't a drag on returns. It's insurance against being forced to cash out at the worst possible time. 3. Audit your fee stack today. If you're paying over 0.5% in your retirement accounts, switch to low-cost index funds. The numbers at 45 are uncomfortable, but they are workable. You still have 20-plus years. That's not nothing. But from here, precision matters more than effort. And the boring system beats the exciting one. Every time. Build a millionaire. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, because the algorithm tends to bury channels like this, and finding us again shouldn't be harder than fixing your 401k fees. See you in the next one.